All right, let's talk about inverse functions and one-to-one and all this kind of good stuff. So if I had something like x equals y cubed minus 7y, how you turn this into an inverse function is the first thing you do is you interchange x and y. So in other words, all the x's become y's and all the y's become x's. And then the next thing you do is you solve for y. Well, this one is solved for y. A lot of times we write the inverse on the last step as f to the negative 1, okay, inverse, and that gives me my inverse equation. If I want to look at is a function one-to-one, and what that means is for any x that you plug in, you can only get one y. And this is definitely one-to-one because no matter what x I plug in, I would get a unique y. And you might wonder, well, what would not be one-to-one? Think of something that has a square. What if I plugged in x equals 1? So I plug in 1 squared, and that's 1 squared's 1, and I get 8. Well, what if I plugged in negative 1? So now, let me write it like that so you can see this. Now I plug in negative 1, 9 minus negative 1 squared. Well, a negative and a negative is a positive 1, so wouldn't that still equal 8? So you do not get a unique solution here. So this is definitely not 1-to-1. Another way is by graphing, and students tend to like this, you know, definitely if you have the function such as something like this, because you can graph it. And when you graph, what you're looking at is what's called the horizontal line test. Can I draw a horizontal line anywhere and only touch this function in one place? Yes, so that's definitely one-to-one. And let me do one last one here. I was going to erase that, but I'll try to keep it over here. Once again, let's do something a little harder than number 2. Is I first can see this is one-to-one. If it's one-to-one, then I can find its inverse. Remember what we do? We change the y to an x. Remember, f of x is just y. We change the x to a y, and now I solve this for x. So I could add 4 to both sides. I could then divide by 5, and then remember we write our inverse now instead of y as the inverse of x.